So now let's go ahead and expand the capability of our application by implementing an action. And what we're going to use an action for is to be able to make it so that someone can enter the amount of protein that they consume. And we're not going to provide a full implementation here, but we're going to just make it so that we can implement this action so that when a person enters some protein and they press a button, that it will display the total. We'll just go ahead and set the total just to show that we're able to implement that action and then show what you might do to update that in your actual application. So the way that we do this is it's actually fairly simple and straightforward. All I'm going to do is go into our main view controller and I'm going to add an action. So I do that by doing a type of IB action. And then we'll call this add protein. We'll say add entered protein. And the signature is ID sender for an IB action here. And then we'll need to provide an implementation for this. So I'm going to the .m file, and then I'm going to do IB action, add entered protein, and this auto completes for me. And then what we're going to want to do here is basically we're going to have a text field where someone can enter the amount of protein, and then we're going to get that and we're going to assign it to the total protein. So what we'll need to do is create another outlet for that text field. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's use a UI text field, and we'll call this entered protein. And we'll create a property for this. And we need to make this an IB outlet so that it shows up for us to be able to bind it to the view. So we'll do UI text field entered protein. And then if you remember, we need to synthesize this. So we'll go back into the .m and we'll do synthesize entered protein. And now before we've even hooked this up, we can provide this implementation, semicolon there. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here, and then I'm going to set the total protein.text equal to our entered protein.text. So whenever this action is called, we are going to just set this value. So now we need to hook this up. So we need to do two things here. We're going to need to hook up the entered protein, and we're going to need to hook up the action on that button. So let's go ahead and we'll look at our view here, and let's go ahead and create our text field. This is where we'll enter that text, and then let's create a button. And I'll call this button enter. So now what we want to do is make it so that when this is clicked, that it's going to implement that action. And it's very much the same way that we're done with the outlet, except the opposite. So with the outlet, what we had done is we had basically dragged from the file owner to the view, and we can do that. Let's go ahead and I'll show you again as we do the outlet for this one for entered protein. So now we've hooked that up. So then to hook up the action, all we have to do is go from the button to the actual file owner. So we'll hold down the control key and we'll drag from the button to the file's owner, and you can see we have this add entered protein action. And so now I've hooked this up. And the way you can check to see if it's hooked up is you can look at, if you double click the file's owner or you right click on it, you can see what outlets it has, and then you can see what actions it has. And you can see that we've got this entered protein hooked up to this text field. We've got this total protein hooked up to this label. We've got on this received actions, we've got this add entered protein, which is hooked up to this button. So now we have everything hooked up. So if we go ahead and stop the simulator and then run it, we should see that when we entered some text here, it should get displayed. So I'll go ahead and put 100 here and hit enter. And you see this is updated the display to 100. And normally you'd hook this up to your back end, to your model, and then that would control this. But in the interest of time, we're just going to do this demonstration here. But one thing I did want to show you also is, see this keyboard? We're kind of stuck with it up here. And so I'm going to show you real quick how we can get rid of that. And we're going to be implementing a protocol in order to do that. So in order to do that, what we'll need to do is we'll go into our controller here and we'll implement a protocol for the delegate for this text field. And you can see I've already added it here to save us a little bit of time, this UI text field delegate. And what we're doing is we've put it in these angle brackets here, which says we're implementing this protocol. And what this does is it allows us to basically, it works like an interface in C#. So we're going to say that we're going to implement this method that the text field will be able to call when it shows that keyboard in order to make that keyboard go away. So I'll go ahead and implement the method that we need in order to do that. And the method is of type Boolean, and it is text field should return. And this is just something to remember in order to make the keyboard go away. And the way that we do this is we basically will just tell the text field to resign its first responder. And all that this does is basically, without getting too far into this, is that it's going to tell the view to go away, which is, in this case, it's the keyboard. So we're going to tell that keyboard view to go away, and then we're going to return yes. We successfully handled this event. So now, if I run this code, what's going to happen is nothing yet, because we haven't hooked this up. So the way that we hook this up is we have to tell the text field who its delegate is. So we can do entered protein dot delegate equals self. And we can do this assignment because we implemented that protocol. Without implementing that protocol, we wouldn't be able to set the delegate, because this delegate needs to be something that's implemented that protocol. You can think of this as like a C# interface. The same thing would apply. So I'll go ahead and stop the simulator and rerun it, and now we should be able to see that the keyboard will go away when we hit return. So I'll type in 138, click the return button, keyboard goes away, and now I can hit enter, and it updates.